The chair recognizes Representative Leach.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. My fellow members, family and friends, distinguished guests, and my fellow Texans. Every 2 years, we gather in this historic chamber to consider and deliberate upon the great challenges facing the state of Texas. 150 men and women, a patchwork comprised of different parties, diverse faiths, varied stories, and different districts, and all manner of paths which have led us to this great chamber. We leave our homes and our families and our businesses for 140 days, and hopefully no more, and we come together not as politicians, but as public servants. We are here because each of us, with the loving support and sacrifice of our families, answered a call to serve. And so, before we continue today, to my family, Becky, Brady, Charlotte, and Landry, and to all of the spouses, the children, brothers and sisters, parents and friends, we say thank you. Scripture tells us to give honor where honor is due, to outdo one another in showing honor. And at the outset of my remarks, I want to say thank you sincerely on behalf of Texans everywhere to Speaker and to Mrs. Strauss for your service to our state and to this House. Thank you. Martin Luther King once said that there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because his conscience tells him it is right. My friends, our decision today to have the first contested speaker's vote in nearly 40 years may not be safe, nor politic, nor popular, but my conscience tells me this is right. On this, the first day of the 84th legislative session, and in that spirit of dedicated public service which has brought all of us to this place, I am proud and honored to stand before you today to nominate my dear friend and one of the best servant leaders I've ever known, Scott Turner, to be Speaker of the Texas House. I stand before you today to nominate Representative Turner as Speaker because I believe strongly that under his leadership, this House will find a fresh wind of dedication and a fresh fire of service to the people. This is, after all, not our house. This is the people's house. And the voices that are heard on the floor of this chamber should not be our voices, but should be the voices of the people of Texas. And make no mistake, Texans are speaking loud and Texans are speaking clear. Texans expect us not to just put a Band-Aid on our border, but to fully and finally secure it. Texans want not just a balanced budget, but an honest and a transparent budget. Texans want us to be vigilant in the fight for life. Texans want us to invest in our state's priorities, water and transportation and education, but to do so in a responsible and prudent way. Texans expect us to revere and respect the Constitution and the rule of law. But most importantly, my friend, Texans expect and deserve each of us to do what we said we would do when they entrusted us with our votes, with their votes. And with Scott Turner as Speaker of the House, we will be challenged and encouraged to do just that. On a professional and political level, Scott Turner is remarkably accomplished. Scott grew up in Richardson, a city that I'm proud to represent, washing dishes at Spring Creek Barbecue, making good grades, and playing football. After playing football and earning a degree from the University of Illinois, Scott was drafted by the Washington Redskins, something I hope you Cowboys fans won't use against him today. And by the way, Des Bryant did catch that ball. You could clap for that. After playing 9 years in the NFL, Scott has worked in our nation's capital. He's achieved remarkable success in private business, and he has selflessly served his community. In addition, as we all know, Scott's a pretty darn good preacher. But perhaps Scott's biggest achievement is that he got a girl like Robin to marry him. And Scott, like me, you outkicked your coverage, my friend. But in closing my remarks today, I want to ask you, my fellow members, to not focus on Scott Turner, the professional, but Scott Turner, the man. I want you to focus not on the successful businessman, the elected official, or the NFL player, but the humble servant leader, the dishwasher at Spring Creek Barbecue, the man who rescued his own son, or who rescued his own nephew and took him in as his own son, the man who, when the cameras are off, is ministering to the helpless, the hopeless, and the needy, the man who throughout his whole life has served God and served others. Simply put, Scott Turner is one of the best men I've ever had the blessing of knowing and calling friend. Just over the past 2 years, he and Robin have been with me and Becky on the tops of the mountain and in the depths of the valley. We have wept together over personal loss and have celebrated together some of God's greatest blessings. The late Zig Ziglar, a man who spent decades ministering to and encouraging the world's most influential business and political leaders, said that Scott Turner is someone that we can count on, hardworking and trustworthy, and I couldn't agree more. So in closing, members, Scott Turner truly is a servant of servants and a leader of leaders. And with him as speaker, each of us will be challenged to focus not on partisan politics, but to focus on the needs and the desires of the people who sent us here to serve them, to represent them, and to passionately advocate on their behalf. Under Representative Turner's leadership, we will together work to ensure that not our voices, but the voices of the people are heard loud and clear in this chamber. Madam Secretary, it is my honor and privilege to nominate Representative Scott Turner as Speaker of the Texas House. I thank each one of you. May God bless this House, and may He continue to bless the great state of Texas.